What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this 2021 Ford F450 Super Duty dually. Huge shout out and thank you to the guys at Carolina Auto Direct for providing this truck for today's video. Definitely check out the website down in the description below. They get in a ridiculous selection of nearly brand new vehicles just like this F450. And the model that we're looking at today is finished off in white, is an XL trim level with the STX package and the FX4 off-road package, and had an original MSRP around $60,000. Underneath the hood, the F450 Super Duty utilizes the 6.7 liter PowerStroke turbo diesel 8-cylinder engine. This engine pumps out 475 horsepower and 1,050 pound-feet of torque. It's only paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission and sends the power to the rear wheels. However, we do have a 4-wheel drive transfer case. The curb weight is 8,500 pounds, and maximum conventional towing is around 24,000 pounds. If you add a gooseneck or fifth wheel, it can get all the way up to 34,000 pounds. And then standard payload ranges between 5,000 and 7,000 pounds, depending on how it's equipped. The overall length is 266 inches, with wheelbase at 176 inches, height is 82, and width is 96 inches. Minimum ground clearance is also 8.6 inches. And then for some off-road capabilities, departure angle is 20.2 degrees, with breakover at 20.3 degrees, and approach angle is 19 degrees. Moving to the styling of this massive Ford work truck, up front we have a huge chrome metal bumper. You can see the 2 steel tow hooks and a huge lower air dam to improve aerodynamics. There's a large opening in the chrome bumper to allow more cooling to the additional radiators. You can also see a huge Ford logo up front with a forward-facing camera, and then chrome horizontal slots all within the grille. There's more chrome trim around the grille, and you can see just how many openings there are for maximum cooling. You can see the halogen headlights finished off in chrome housings, and they have a cool C-shaped design. I even like how the grille cuts into them. You can see the bug guard up top on the forward portion of the hood, and then the hood lines go all the way towards the windshield with a really sharp design. I like how the farthest sides are raised up and the center portion of the hood is sunken down below to give it more of that aggressive design. The front end is massive, and you can tell this is an F450, especially how the front fender arches bulge outward. As we move to the side profile, you can see how large these front fenders are. They bulge many inches outwards to give it that wider appearance. And you can see the polished aluminum wheels down below. They have that work truck vibe to them. They really look like a mini semi-truck wheels, but they fit really well in the wheel arch, and I like the sharp lines all around. We get the STX F450 badge on the rear side of this front fender, and then a sharp line going from the headlight towards the mirror. You get 6.7 PowerStroke on the front door panel, and then a set of black door handles along with black mirrors. There is a side view camera, and you can see more black trim around the windows. And then down below, there's a set of fixed running boards finished off in black with a Ford logo right in the center. There's a really sharp line going through the lower side profile, cutting through the doors, and even going right into the bedside. And then as you make our way to the bedside, this is an 8-foot bed, which is massive. And you can see, since we have the dually rear wheels, we have a really huge fender arch back here that protrudes outward over a foot to cover the tires in back. You see the FX4 off-road badge, as well as the LED light on the front and the rear. We have a dual exhaust over on this passenger side. And then as we make our way to the rear end, you can see these halogen taillights finished off in red. There's a sonar system in them for the blind spot monitoring, and they wrap around towards the tailgate. We get a matching chrome metal rear bumper with a massive trailer hitch down below, and then all the connections are on the left side of the license plate. In the center of the tailgate, you can see Super Duty stamped into it, and I really like the satin black trim with the red outlines. There's also a Ford logo above that, an LED light, and your standard backup camera, and then a manual lever to open the tailgate. So there's a good look at the exterior with the F450 Super Duty. The dually looks pretty sweet, and in white, it's a really big truck. So we now have Ford's key fob, pretty basic looking. I can go ahead and lock it, and then double tap on the engine start stop feature. The PowerStroke will roar to life. You can hear it idling nicely. And then just pressing it once more will shut it off. Then I can just tap the button to unlock it, and then by just grabbing the door handle, we can check out this interior. This XL has a tan fabric interior with some black accents all throughout. Taking a look at the door panel now, finished off mostly in tan, and then there is some black along this armrest. You get your release handle as well as the grab handle, and then mirror and window controls up top. You have a lock and unlock, one of the speakers, and then a ton of storage all throughout this door panel. Moving our way inside, you can see how large these side steps are, moving to the door sill, and then you get manual controls on the left side of the seat. You can see how the fabric looks. We have a cool two-tone design, very basic interior, being more of a base model vehicle. Of course, this is a work truck for sure. And then spinning around, we have a rubber steering wheel finished off in black, all the controls, and some black accents. And then now inside the Super Duty, taking the key, you can press this upper button to get the metal key out of the actual fob. Then inserting it into the ignition, we can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, we have your speedometer over on the right with a tach on the left. You get some engine vitals up top and then a digital display right in the center. You can control that center screen by using the controls on the left side of the steering wheel. So if we go ahead and take a look what we have, you can see the distance still empty. If I go back, you can see display mode, and you can scroll up and see a few different things in here, which is nice to see. You do have some safety settings as well. Then going back, we have trip and fuel information that will come up. We also have towing. You can see everything here, trailer status. So you certainly have quite a few different things that will come up in this truck. A few different off-road modes, pitch and roll meter. Then if we take a look at the steering wheel now, we have those controls on the left, all the cruise control on the bottom left, then Bluetooth and audio over on the right side. We get your windshield wiper stock over on the left, and then a column mounted shifter to the right. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have all of your headlight controls, and then one of your air vents, and then a black dashboard. There's a little bit of storage up top as well. Then you can see we have Super Duty over on this right side, and this is actually an extra glove box. You can press that, open it up for a little bit more storage space. We can open this up for a 3-prong as well as a 12-volt outlet. And then on the top of the screen, you can see your air brake, your traction control, a downhill assist, a shortcut to the camera, lane keeping. If I tap the camera, we have a 360 camera view top down. Really nice to have, especially being such a big truck. This is the front view camera popped up. You can also get a 3/4 view of that, and then the one behind. And if I go ahead and put the vehicle into reverse, your backup camera will come up, and now you see that same view, but with the backup camera. And then toggling through all these, you can go through and see everything from the back. And then taking a look at the screen right now, for 2022, you'll get the Sync 4. So we get Sync 3 in 2021. You have a few different icons that'll come up. Nothing too crazy in here, but it is nice to have at least a touchscreen display. And then down below the screen, you can see all the radio controls with volume on the left and tuning on the right. And then climate controls down below that. We can adjust your fan speed, and it even has some LED lights, your different zones and AC, and then the temperature over on this right side. We can go ahead and shut it off. We have the 4-wheel drive selector right here with 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low, and then trailering assists down below. You can see we have a centerpiece right here that goes from one side to the next because we do have a 3-seat bench row up here. We have the jump seat right in the center. With it folded down, we have 2 cup holders, and then if I just grab the headrest or something, I can lift this all the way up, and we now have the 3-row up here. So definitely a great aspect for a work truck. Up on the ceiling, not too much going on up here. However, we do have a controller right here for the automatic button for the rear sliding window. Just pressing that, you can see it open up. And then we also have your auxiliaries here, which is all factory. So if you need to add lights or winches to this truck, it's already ready to go. And then onto the rear seat space. If I open up the door panel's finished off just like we saw up front. And then we even get the same fabric back here. This is a 6-person vehicle. And then we get a 12-volt outlet down below. You can see how flat the floor is to put a lot of cargo in here, and of course make it more comfortable for people. If I grab the front of the seat, I can lift this up, and you can see just how much more storage space we now have in the back of a Super Duty. These are very practical for being work trucks. Then if I just lift this handle up, we can unlock it and put it down into the normal position. So then sitting in the back of this F450, being the crew cab, we have a ton of space in here. I'm 5'11", and I have like 6 inches above my head, and even with the driver's seat set at my height, I have so much space back here. So for the whole crew to be working out of this truck, I think this is definitely gonna be a great truck for that. We have a pretty good armrest here and a huge window, so it's not too tight feeling, and the fact that we have the power glass back there, that can get you some extra airflow. On to a closer look at the bed space. We get an 8-foot bed in here, absolutely massive. So lifting the tailgate down, it does not have a soft open or anything like that, and we do have a tonneau cover up top. We have a carpeted piece in here as well, and you can see just how large this is. It is an absolute massive bed. The way this aftermarket tonneau cover works, you can just grab the handle over here and pull this strap, and actually get this thing completely out of the way, and then it will fold all the way forwards, giving you more access to actually put things in the bed. And then like most Super Duties, you can press the button in the center portion of the tailgate and pull the step out and let it go down into its lower position. You can pull the handle out as well to make it very easy to enter and exit the bed. It's a great feature to have for a work truck. Then all you gotta do is fold everything back up into the tailgate and you can lift it closed. All right guys, we are setting off now in the F450. I don't think I've actually ever driven one of these. This is pretty much the biggest one before you get to the more commercial oriented like F550 and 650s. Well, this is a big truck to say the least. There is a lot of truck behind me and it is pretty wide with the dual rear wheels. So 2022 is the mid-cycle refresh where you're gonna have the bigger screen and a few little tweaks here and there. But fundamentally, this is still pretty much the newest truck out there and what you're gonna get on most of the Super Duties. So the XL trim is kind of more of a base model. It's got the STX and then the FX4. So it's got a few nice packages to it to make it not a base model. But as far as normal driving, this is a really smooth truck. You can hear the engine quite a bit, but when you're cruising, like going downhill, there's like no wind noise or road noise or anything. Ford did a really good job making these pretty darn insulated to be something you can drive so much. Obviously, if you're buying this truck, you're gonna be racking up a ton of miles using this as a work truck, using it to haul, maybe a family boat or something. You're gonna be using this truck a lot. So we have the 10-speed automatic. It shifts so smooth, you don't feel anything. And being we have the diesel power plant, of course, we're not really getting high up in the revs at all. So it's a really good transmission to utilize all the power. And with over 1,000 pounds of torque, it's nice to have a transmission that can handle it all. As far as getting comfortable in it, the fabric seats are pretty nice. They have a lot of padding to them, and there's a lot of space in here. So I think a lot of different body sizes are gonna be able to fit in a truck like this really well. And especially with the jump seat, that's a great feature to have, especially if you are using this with a lot of people in it. So hitting the brakes, we have a ton of weight to this truck. It still does come to a stop pretty well. Of course, it's gonna have brakes that can handle anything. Getting up to some speed, giving it some diesel. I mean, that's 55, wow. And that wasn't even 3,000 RPM. This thing's got some power to it. But honestly, if you stomped on the gas, or on the diesel, I should call it, you get up to speed pretty quickly. But it's nice how when you do drive one of these diesel trucks, you get kind of that luxury refinement. While this isn't like a platinum or anything like that on the interior, it still is such a solid truck because it has to handle towing so much. It's a solid truck that does give you that refined ride. And then even taking turns and hitting the brakes, it's a really composed vehicle. And especially with the wider rear wheels there, having two on each side, I think that even helps stability to make it to where this is a pretty rock solid truck. Getting comfortable in the seats, we have manual control, so a little bit to have to get used to pulling all the levers and everything. Visibility is really good. You have a huge windshield, you can see the whole hood. I like how the mirrors are set up, the tow mirrors, you have the two different panes of glass. And then over your left and right shoulder, you have a really good view all around. Interior wise, it's pretty basic. You have a rubber steering wheel and nothing fancy in any of the trim, it's just all plastic. But nonetheless, you have a touchscreen up here and you have a few controls on it and easy to read dials and everything, and then extra power outlets and things like that. So definitely a nice truck to drive in. Obviously this thing is gonna shine if you're towing with it. It can tow so much depending on how you configure it. If you're using the bed for the fifth wheel or a gooseneck, it can tow. I think Ford is pretty much class leading. Back up to some speed. Man, you just see the speedometer just shoot up, which is pretty impressive. Obviously it's not a sports car, but it's cool how with so much power and obviously not towing anything, it's really a fast truck, which is crazy. But as far as ride quality when you're not towing, trucks like this, the rear end does feel a little stiff. It's not necessarily bouncy like I guess an F250 would feel with the normal wheels and a little bit less capabilities. But you can tell it's a firmer rear suspension because it's going to handle all that weight, which is exactly what this truck is designed for. You're not driving this all the time with nothing attached. You're buying this because you are going to be towing a lot with it, especially being a dually. And then while we're turning around in a little neighborhood, let's see what kind of maneuverability we have in such a big truck. You do have to turn the steering wheel many times to get it locked to lock. Column mounted shifter. I love how you get the top-down view and it even shows a dually as the picture, which is kind of nice to see. But, you know, nonetheless, it's a pretty easy vehicle to maneuver around. While it's got a huge footprint, you know, the longer bed, the full-size cab and everything, with that camera system especially, it really makes this truck pretty manageable. Of course, parking it into a smaller parking space, it's only going to fit, of course, in a certain size parking space given the size, but it's really manageable. So we'll get back up to speed one last time. There's quite a lot of engine noise, but it sounds like a diesel would sound like. And then we do get a little bit of safety features like the lane keeping assist. So especially for a truck where, you know, I'm almost line to line, I'm definitely almost line to line. It's nice to be able to have the lane departure, because a truck like this where it's actually that wide and your trailer's probably gonna be just as wide, I think that's a pretty good feature to have in a truck like this. But I think that's about it then for the 2021 F450. Really cool truck all around. It can do a lot for the work, and as far as normal driving it, it's actually pretty comfortable. So huge shout out and thank you once again to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this truck for today's video. Definitely check out their website linked down below. They have a huge selection of nearly brand new pre-owned vehicles. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you all in the next video.